If we're starting with Miriam, then I want to say like in my opinion, Miriam had like probably the craziest journey. I think her journey was crazier than Layla's because Miriam started already like stranded and she was missing a parent. So like she was already like had that like the odds against her. And she was always led on to believe like her father like loved her and everything. So her whole life until she like found out the truth, she was literally like felt like she was living a lie. So like she wasn't even like living a real life until like she wanted to go test her freedom and be with her dad, and her dad didn't want her. And when she wanted to go back to her mom, it was already too late, and her mom killed herself, which is like crazy. And because of that, she had to go live with her dad. And like it just shows like how much her dad didn't want her, or maybe was embarrassed of her. Maybe he did want her, but he got rid of her so fast and made her go marry a random guy.
I think it's unfair that Miriam had got put into a position where she had to marry young because her father wasn't really like a father figure to her. So for her to go into abusive relationship, I feel like she was scared a lot because she was young. Like she got married pretty young to like an older guy and she didn't have her mother there to, guide her through it. So I just feel like it's really sad because he's older and he had bad intentions with her.
I
I
feel
Yeah.
like
agree with. Oh,
Go ahead, go ahead.
go.
Okay. I just feel like going off what you said, she just never had that feeling of like love. She doesn't know what love feels like because her mom didn't love her and Jalil like loved like tried to show her love, but in reality it felt like more pity than love, like as she got older and thought about it, not what a father should do at all. And she was really set up for failure in the future, especially with Rashid, because she just like let things happen because she didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, I
Honestly, hearing
agree. She
hearing the story about Miriam, it makes me like the lessons I took away from it. It's like it makes me happy, like the life we live, and like it would be bad to live like how she lived with like what she had to go through with her parents, getting
I
arranged
agree.
marriage and stuff.
I feel like
Yeah.
Layla had a different kind of better life in a way because she had her father there and he would always push her to aim for success because he did mention in the book that education is way more important than marriage, and I see that. And her mom like was there a little bit but not as much as her father. She showed a lot of love to her father than she would towards her mother. So I feel like Layla had it a little bit easier because she wasn't pushed for an arranged marriage like Miriam was, and her father was there to support her.
Miriam was more like you said, like she was blindsided through most of her childhood, and Layla wasn't. Her father was the complete opposite of how everyone was, which was why he was hated so much. He kept telling his daughter, "You need education. You need to be a educated woman. You don't need to get married. You don't have to worry about any of that." But I feel like that's where they both kind of connected in that part because both Miriam and Layla wanted their mother's love, but they never could completely reach it. Like they both lived in the same household with them, but they still didn't feel completely loved by their mother. And I think the non-parental love kind of went in when it came to when they got older. They were trying to seek the validation from other places.
I agree with Kennedy. I just thought about something like now I didn't think about before about like them two. So Layla had more freedom when she was younger, and she lived a way better life than Miriam did. But I just realized that when Miriam was like 14, 15, like around that age, she was forced to get married and she had no choice. And like I didn't like think about it until now, but the same thing happened to Layla because Layla was like in her teens too, and then something happened and their house I think got struck, and both of her parents were dead, and Rashid like pulled her out. So basically, what ended up happening was at that young of an age, Layla was trapped, and she was forced to marry Rashid for the kid, and she's not like the journey for her is she's not selfish at all, Layla, because like she only married for the kid, so she did everything for like to keep, you know, Tariq's like presence going. Because I feel like for her, the kid was like Tariq, it reminded her of Tariq, and she also had more freedom because she like studied and like when she was younger, I guess she wasn't supposed to, but she did things with Tariq, and at least she had like a true love. I don't think Miriam ever had a true love or anything like that at all.
I agree with you, Joe. But I feel like Miriam's life changed when she met Lila and Rashid because she loved Lila and Lila's children. So Miriam fulfilled her wish to be a mother and finally give and receive love. So
I feel like the kids play like a big sim like are symbolic with love because I feel like without the kids, like even Miriam was like, she didn't even feel an attraction to love or knew what love meant until she knew that like these kids were the only symbol of love to the both of them because Rashid didn't love them. Rashid could care less. So those like especially Aziza, like the first kid, she played a big role because even though I think Layla talked about how her son was her favorite, Aziza was Miriam's favorite at first because she saw how attached they got like right off the bat after like the one time Miriam took care of her that one night. So to me, that's like a symbol of love that Miriam finally found, and it wasn't even her kid.
It's great to see that Miriam played a mother figure, even though she wasn't able to have children of her own. A lot of the, or both of the kids actually became so dependent on her, even though like that's not their mother, but she took care of them. Like they really cared for her.
she was happy that she was receiving love because her parents didn't really care for
Agree. I think that the kids definitely filled that void that they were always longing for when they were younger. Because when you can tell just like straight off the bat, once Layla had her daughter, she her all her priority was simply on her. Like she wasn't worried about anything else but her daughter. And once Miriam finally warmed up to the idea of, them being friends, them being family, then like they had one main priority. Before there was all like, I'm in it for myself. I'm just trying to live day by day because my husband's abusive. I can't do anything about it. But once the kids started coming, they had something to live for finally, and before they didn't.
They wanted them
Yeah.
to have what they didn't have.
Yeah, I agree. Also, it just shows how close they are together or how close they got. Because even like until the end, Miriam gave her life for Layla to live and have a good life. And Layla like pays her respects for it and Layla will never forget what Miriam did for her ever.
I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like Miriam, she got the love that she was supposed to have in the beginning of the book. Like she deserved the love that she got. So I feel like it was happy. Like she died in peace in a way because she left with feeling loved. Like she left the world knowing that she was loved.
Yeah, I agree with what you said.
What are some themes and lessons you guys learned from the book?
A lesson I learned is to be like thankful for what you have because like other people have it worse. It's like how Maryam and Layla they both were like forced to do stuff they didn't want to do. And like we like have a choice and they don't. And like what they had to go through. It's like I'm thankful for everything. I don't have to go through that. And it hurts to see what they went through.
one lesson I learned
Yeah,
is that you always should appreciate your family and people that you love and care for.
Okay, I learned to fight for like what you love, what you believe in, how Miriam helped them escape from the house and fought for her freedom and fought for both of them, and how is it to be a woman in this society from this book.
yeah. I always agree with Ola. I was gonna say I learned like about like how like gender equality is over there. And like I never really thought because we live in like the USA, even over here probably sometimes it's still like, it shows and like everything should be more equal. But it's just crazy of how it is over there in Afghanistan. Like women are expected to clean, expected to do everything in the house, and they can't leave the house without a burqa, or they can't leave the house without their man. And what's it called? She's like not supposed to sleep with nobody or do anything until she gets married. But then Rashid can have like magazines like of like sexual things and all that, and the woman can't judge or say nothing about it. But the man can hit the woman, do anything they want to the woman. So it just shows like how crazy like life is over there.
This book honestly shows how blessed we are, that we live in a world where we can make our own decisions, we can be ourselves and not worry about what other people say in a way. And
Yes, I agree.
yeah, and then also like it's so crazy to know that like other countries this actually happens like in a day-to-day
Still
basis, like
happening in
things
some
like this
countries.
happen. And it's so sad, it's crazy.
Mind blowing.
So what
Yeah.
I learned from this book, I learned that you should always stand up for yourself no matter what. And you should always believe in yourself and do what you love because nobody else is going to be in your life. You're going to live your life. Even though they're wrong, you should always stand up for yourself and speak out so you can do what you love.
I definitely
Definitely
agree with.
learn.
Oh, sorry, Kenny, go ahead.
Go, go, go.
I definitely agree with with what Rhonda said, sorry. Because I know that like going off of that, strength was something I learned about because the women in this book felt like they were weak. In the beginning especially, they felt like they had no say in anything because in reality they didn't. Like we all talked about, didn't have love for either her parents, and we all know like not having love from your parents really makes you weak in a different type of way because your parents are the people in your life that set you up to be the person you are. That when they got older, they saw how life was, how family was. They grew that strength from each other, which I really liked about this book because even though there were women in a society where women were not praised whatsoever, they still came together to be powerful for each other and for others. So that's what really inspired me from the book and like lessons I kind of learned because it made me stronger as a woman because I know like women aren't very valued that much even today. Like we're not still looked at as like the most logical people in the world, but it really helped me like think otherwise because these women did so much for each other and their families and still managed to be successful at the end. Well, Layla did. So that was really good.
One quote that I stand by is marriage can wait and education cannot, because this book is based off of, young girls going off and getting married pretty young. And education is something that comes once in your life. Marriage can come in any age that you want, honestly. But with your education, I feel like that's the most important thing, especially if you want to be successful in life. Um, I don't know, education is just so much important than getting married, honestly.
I agree with what you said.
Agree.
And I talked about the book this way that you should actually wait for marriage because it can come anytime and education is one in a lifetime. My favorite quote was it's on page 414. It says, "But mostly Miriam is in Layla's own heart, where she shines with the bursting radiance of a thousand suns." That goes with what I definitely learned from like took from this book. The strength of having courage and love goes really, really far throughout this book because, like all of you said, that these girls they didn't have like anything. They longed for something that they didn't even truly know what was there, and they were trying to be somebody in a time when society was telling them you can't be anything but this person's wife, this person's daughter, until you are somebody else's wife. And I think once they realized how stronger they were together and how much love they had for each other, that's definitely when the book took off. Like at when that part, I can't remember what chapter it was in, but when Miriam and Layla, when they started having the tea outside every night, they finally realized that them loving each other, them loving the kids, they were gonna be perfectly fine with or without Rashid. They seemed happier when they realized that they had each other's backs. So I like that quote.
They
Yeah, I
did. They
like
did.
that quote.
Quote is behind every trial and sorrow that he makes us shoulder, God has a reason. I picked this because I feel like everything we go through in life, there's a reason for it. If it's happy, sad, or anything, there's a reason, and it makes us what we are today. So like everything I've been through, I have this in mind. Like if I went through something, if someone died, it happened for a reason. Maybe I have a better future. Maybe like if you lose something, you gain something. That's just my base, something like I go with in life.
All right, my quote was, "You cannot stop you from being who you are," and that like it was deep because you just have to be natural. You just can't like force yourself to be somebody you're not. You just got to be who you are, and like don't let other people take your freedom, basically.
Quotes is, "I will follow you to the ends of the world." This puts me as a person because I will die for my family. I will do anything for them, and like people that I like, I won't let no one mess with them. That's how it connects to me as a person.
My favorite quote was, "A society has no chance of success if its women are uneducated." I can personally connect to this because I like really think women should have like very like good rights, and like I believe in that. So in my opinion, if women and men work together, everything will work out better and be well. So having educated women is like something I believe in really heavily in my life.
So the quote that I chose is that Layla has moved on because in the end she knows that all she can do, that and hope. I chose this quote because you just gotta move on no matter what happens to you. You just gotta go and continue what you're doing because the most thing is important is that you need to focus on what you need and what you want, not what others want.
A personal connection I made from reading the book was like I heard Miriam and Layla them getting arranged marriage and like being forced to do something they didn't want to do. And I've heard stories back in like my country and other countries of people like doing the same thing, and it's like sad to me because it's like they're forced and it's not what they want, and I'll hate to be in that position.
I made a personal connection with Miriam because mostly at the beginning of the book where she talked about how like how basically how she showed that she was neglected by her parents. I understood that a lot since I my childhood was kind of and I also connected it with the kite runner because I mean, Miriam was always just, kind of just followed the rules and then did what she could. And she reminded me of Hassan because just like Hassan, Miriam once when she was married to Rashid, she just kind of accepted her situation, and Hassan did the same thing. He never talked back. He never said anything against anything that was going on. He just basically was like, "Yeah, like I understand it, and I'm just gonna like love what I do and just be who I am."
Right, like Hassan
I
went with the
agree.
flow, just like Miriam did.
Main thing I really want to talk about was when they were fighting and like Rashid was killing Layla. I mean, was hurting Miriam after he hurt Layla. Layla like hit him with the bottle or whatever, but then Miriam ended up taking action. So that's why I was saying like they both kind of have the aspects of Hassan, because even though Hassan was like the shy, low key kid, he still stood up for himself and for Amir more than himself, kind of. But he still had like that courage built inside of him, which I think both characters have. But to me, it was like maybe it was Miriam more because Miriam ended up killing Rashid, and I did not think she was going to do that.
The shovel kind of represents the slingshot in a way. Think about it.
True.
I never even thought it like that. That is true.
Dang, that was deep. That was deep.
Oh my gosh.
Right, that was.
Alicia went to a different type. She said slingshot plus shovel. That's a good symbol. That is really true.
Could like want to know more or learn more about this book, I wouldn't. I honestly didn't like it. So that's my take on it. I like the Kite Runner a lot more. So that's the connections I'll make to English 12. I hated this book.
This book is really good, actually. I liked it.
I think it
This
was really good
well
because